This is Italy, but more than that, it's Maranello, home of the legendary Ferrari concern, who make those fabulous sports cars that are desired by enthusiasts the world over. And here in Italy, one must say that the Tifosi, and they're the fanatical followers of Ferrari, are hoping for a repetition in the Italian Grand Prix of the success that Ferrari have had in the past that's eluded them this year. And Ferrari are doing everything that they possibly can to ensure that success returns. They are said to be importing John Barnard, the brilliantly successful designer of McLaren, the firm that have won the Constructors' Championship for the last 2 years. At the Italian Grand Prix last year, Michele Alboreto for Ferrari and Alain Prost for McLaren were running neck and neck at the top of the Drivers' Championship. But this year, Alboreto isn't in the picture. Well, just 100 miles or so from Modena, this is Monza, the most historic racetrack in current use. And it's where Ferrari have achieved so many of their magnificent victories over the past. Now, there's no chance of Ferrari achieving a World Championship in 1986, but this year is going to see the most exciting World Championship climax of all. 4 races to go, 4 men still in contention. Leading the championship, Nigel Mansell for Williams.
I'm in great shape, and you know, one's got to appreciate I'm not prejudiced in any way or form for myself or for England, but I hope car number 5 can do it, Murray.
And everybody's wondering whether the loss of John Barnard is going to affect Alain Prost's chances.
I think honestly it's not going to affect a lot because it is the end of the season, only 4 races to go, and we are not going to improve the car a lot. We are not going to change the car a lot because we need the reliability of the car, we need to finish races, and we are more worried about next year, that is for sure, but this year I don't think it is a big problem.
Well, we are looking for a better performance generally. The critical race for us is probably here Monza. So if, as I said, if we go through here, then between Portugal, Mexico and Australia, we should have some good race.
Easy, no problem. Wait and see.
So what are you going to do? What are the tactics? Go for it?
I go wait for the last one. And them.
In the Constructors' Championship, Williams are a massive 30 points ahead of McLaren. And as they line up for the start of the race, Fabi, who was in pole position, has got to start from the back because he's got an engine problem, and Prost, who was in second place, has got to start from the pit lane for some reason. Mansell third, Berger fourth, Senna fifth, and Piquet sixth. Derek Warwick's got his confidence back with a fine 7th place ahead of Rosberg, Ferrari's Michele Alboreto, who's overcome fitness problems, Patrese, Arnoux and Johansson. Johnny Dumfries is 17th, Alan Jones 18th, Martin Brundle 20th, and Jonathan Palmer 22nd. 27 to start the Italian Grand Prix, thanks to a special dispensation which admits newcomer Alex Caffey for a very hot, very fast race.
Gerhard Berger, who uses every one of his BMW horsepower to accelerate away, and Senna is in trouble. Senna has failed to get through the chicane.
Yes, Senna only just moved off the line. He appeared to lose any form of drive to the car, and he has already pulled off. So Senna out of the race, and this really is a tremendous opening. There is Ayrton Senna getting out of the car. His race is over, and what a fantastic opportunity for Nigel Mansell, because we have Prost and Senna. Well, Prost is at the back of the grid. He started from the pit road. He's gone out last, and this gives Mansell a big opportunity.
And there he is in second place behind Gerhard Berger, striking up sparks. A tremendous scrap already for 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. And Berger on his way, and it looks like Nelson Piquet in 3rd position in the 2nd Williams. Well, there is Mansell, there is Piquet in 3rd place. Arnoux is 4th. Rosberg is in 5th position. There is Derek Warwick well up in the race. And look for the red and white of Prost's car. There it is in the background. Alain Prost with Berger, the man who led in Austria for 22 laps before his battery went flat. Then it's Mansell, Piquet, Arnoux, Prost, Alboreto and Alain well up.
And Prost has certainly been not hanging around. Here is Prost. He's already made up 2 places, having started well behind the field.
Is sadly walking back to the pit lane, and already Hub Rotengatter, the man who must have retired from more Grand Prix this year than anybody else, is out. So already Senna is out and Rotengatter is out. Now there's Berger coming under the bridge down to the Ascari chicane with the 2 Williams closing up, and this is lap 3 out of 51. Alboreto 4th, Arnoux down to 5th, Rosberg 6th, Johansson 7th, Derek Warwick in 8th position, and Patrick Tambay touring already with a flat left rear. And a flat left front as well. So Patrick Tambay seemingly out of the race unless he can crawl back to the pits and get new boots. And there is Ayrton Senna talking, having lost the possibility of 9 points. There's Tambay's car out of the running as you look at the Williams go round the right-hander there, and it's Berger leading. First 4, Berger, Mansell, Piquet, Alboreto, then 5th and 6th and 7th, Arnoux, Rosberg, and Johansson is now challenging Rosberg in 6th place, so it looks as though the Ferraris in front of their own home team are really getting their act together.
That's right, it's quite extraordinary how Ferraris always finally seem to produce at Monza when they get, and there is Alain Prost. No, I said so sorry, that was Keke Rosberg, who has now been passed by Stefan Johansson. So Rosberg, who was climbing all over the back of the car in front.
Well, Gerhard Berger is through, and you see the gap between Berger, Mansell, Piquet and Alboreto. And the Italians, of course, here are really on tenterhooks at the way Michele Alboreto, their hero, is going. And Johansson is now up into 6th place, and there's confirmation of it. The 2 Ferraris, both in the top 6.
Johansson was 6th as he went past the pits, but in fact he outbraked René Arnoux into the first chicane, so he's moved up into 5th place. He's picked up 2 places in a lap.
Berger leading, Mansell 2nd, Piquet 3rd, Alboreto 4th, Arnoux 5th, Johansson 5th, Arnoux 6th, Rosberg is in 7th place, Warwick is 8th, Johnny Dumfries an excellent 9th, Philippe Alliot is 10th, Fabi is up into 11th place, and Alan Jones is 12th.
Well, the leading group of 4 have now pulled about 5 seconds on Stefan Johansson, but he's just come through his group, and we will keep an eye to see if he can do anything about catching the leaders. Berger seems to be struggling now. Mansell is beginning to put him under some pressure, starting to attack. Berger quick into the corner. And Mansell goes into the lead. You see Berger he seemed to lack traction out of the parabolica, so Nigel Mansell takes the lead, and this is wonderful news for his World Championship attempt.
Lap 8, Nigel Mansell leads, but Alboreto, Berger and his teammate Nelson Piquet are right up with him. At the moment, it's anybody's race. Gerhard Berger is slowing a bit for whatever reason, and as you see, Stefan Johansson in the 2nd Ferrari is still there. He's about 5 seconds behind his teammate Michele Alboreto. Both the Ferraris in the top 5, both the Williams in the top 5, and then the Brabham, the Benetton-BMW, and Prost, meantime, out of your sight, but in ours, continues to climb up through the field. He's passed Alan Jones and moved up into 12th place. Teo Fabi is still 11th, and here are the leaders into the Ascari bends, and Berger is definitely holding people up now.
Yes, Piquet will be very anxious to get past Berger to resume his chase of Mansell, because remember, and Berger really is slowing things down, but Piquet would hope to get a good run out of the parabolica if he doesn't break him around the outside into it, which he does. And that was very important for Nelson Piquet. Remember, he's some 8 points behind Nigel Mansell in the championship, fighting for it as Michele Alboreto passes Gerhard Berger into 3rd place. So Berger going backwards. That battle is very seriously joined for the two Williamses and Alboreto's Ferrari.
De Cesaris there is in the pits in the Minardi. But what a scrap for first place, and here it is. Mansell being caught by Piquet. Piquet's and Alboreto is taking a good look at the situation. Into the second chicane. That is the Roja. And Mike, this is great stuff, and Prost, meantime, is still carving through the field. He's up into 9th place. He's taken Johnny Dumfries. Mansell leads, Piquet second, Alboreto third. And there spins the car of Guy Ginzani. Now, there's a major problem. It looks to me as though his right rear wheel may be off as Prost goes through ahead of Fabi. There is Johnny Dumfries, who has got Streff behind him. There's Derek Warwick. There is Philippe Alliot. And that's the ever-present problem, of course, of the practically white-hot turbo. And we join Christian Danner in the A8 Arrows as the tall, lanky, amiable German barrels his Arrows down to the Parabolica, and the leaders come up to lap Jonathan Palmer in the Zach Speed, who is in 18th place. Mansell has passed him. Piquet has not passed him, nor has Alboreto. So this gives Nigel Mansell a bit of a chance to break away, but Piquet should pull out of the slipstream of the Zach Speed, and does so as they come up to complete lap 16. Now Alboreto's got to get past before they get up to the Reggio, because that slow corner could hold him, but it doesn't. And the first three have already lapped Jonathan Palmer in 18th place.
Yes, and that was a clear demonstration of the disadvantage that poor Jonathan Palmer has to drive. And Alboreto spins. Alboreto put a wheel on the dirt and appeared to lose control of the car. But up on the curb, I don't know if there was some problem with oil on the track or something, because the car seemed to get away from him very quickly and suddenly, but I think he's got going again.
And now on lap 17, with Michele Alboreto having spun but rejoined, Mansell there, red 5 in the lead. Piquet second, going into the Parabolica. Derek Warwick has spun and has knocked the rear wing and the engine cover of the Brabham all awry, the rear wing.
And I have to surmise, and here we see now, as Alboreto bouncing off the curve, but everything looks fine here. And then he just seems to lose the back of the car. Now, I think that maybe there was oil there, because we've had Nannini off there. We have had Derek Warwick having trouble there. And I suspect that there's a bit of a slippery track that may have caught them out. But a big sigh of relief, I'm sure, from both Williams drivers, who must have felt pretty heavily threatened by the Ferrari. And Alain Prost, yet again, posts another fastest lap. So Alain Prost, still in 8th place, trying to catch René Arnoux, which he's finally doing, is the quickest man on the circuit. And
Michele Alboreto in for tyres. He obviously flat-spotted his tyres, and that is Capelli. So cars spinning off or going off the track for one reason or another all around this 3.6-mile Monza circuit, and Johnny Dumfries goes off the circuit. There's another retirement. Johnny Dumfries, so that is both the Lotus out. Ayrton Senna before he even got to the first corner. There is Alain Prost, who is now up behind Keke Rosberg. Rosberg 5th, Prost in 6th position. There is Teo Fabi in 7th place. And I was talking about the World Championship because now is the time to establish the fact, and it's not always appreciated, that at the end of the season, it is the best 11 out of 16 scores, if the drivers have 16 scores, that are added for the championship positions. And that is going to be very critical from now on. We've got a closer World Championship situation at the top of the table now than we have had for years, and the 11 points ruling may count. Mansell. There is Mansell leading now. Where's Piquet? There he is as he comes underneath the bridge. And the last time I took the gap between Prost and Mansell leading, it was 27 seconds. It was 25 seconds at the end of this lap, at the end of the previous lap. And we're now on lap 20, coming up towards half distance. And you see the leader, Nigel Mansell, who has already won 4 Grand Prix this year. Belgium, Canada, France and Great Britain. There is Christian Danner, well down. There is Berger, chasing Piquet second. That is Johansson with the yellow stripes on the tail of his Ferrari in 4th place. And there are the 5th and 6th men. Rosberg being reeled in by his teammate, world champion Alain Prost, #1.
And a marvellous drive by Alain Prost. Remember that he is in the spare car. His race car failed on the grid. He had to start right from the back. And there's the Williams teams getting, with the heaters on the tyres, getting ready for a pit stop. So we wait to see who will come in first. Nigel Mansell at the absolute top of his form, driving very confidently indeed, and looking extremely comfortable and relaxed in the lead. Doesn't appear to be under any threat from his teammate Piquet at the moment.
That was Jonathan Palmer in the Zach Speed in for a stop. He's in 16th place, or was when he came into the pits. And Nigel Mansell looks to me as though he's increasing his lead slightly over Nelson Piquet. The gap now is about 2.5 seconds, and it was 1.9. There is Berger, 10 seconds behind Mansell, leading. There in the red, in the scarlet Ferrari, Stefan Johansson. And meantime, Alboreto, his teammate, who spun, came in for tyres, is in 10th place. And the race order on this lap 21 is Mansell, Piquet, Berger, Johansson, Rosberg, Prost. They're the first 6. In 7th place, it's René Arnoux. 8th is Fabi. 9th is Alain. 10th is Alboreto. 11th is Alan Jones. Martin Brundle is now 13th. Jonathan Palmer is 19th, and of course has made his pit stop.
We're still watching Alain Prost very carefully, because he is catching the 2 Williamses of Mansell and Piquet in the lead, and Alain Prost moves up into 5th place. He's passed his teammate Keke Rosberg. But the big question is Prost catching them quickly enough to make it by the end of the race, to get up amongst the big points, the 1st and 2nd place. A lot will depend, of course, on the pit stop. A lot of pressure on the McLaren team to turn him around really fast in the pits, see if they can make up a couple of seconds there. And then, of course, we'll have to see how things settle on his new set of tyres. Remember that no 2 sets of tyres are absolutely identical. They can change the handling of the car for better or for worse. That, of course, also applies to the 2 Williamses. But it's a fascinating thing, and as Piquet is beginning to drop back, Mansell is starting to put his stamp on the race, looking very confident in front. We saw the Williams team getting ready for a pit stop just now, so expect one of the Williamses in pretty soon.
Well, Piquet is definitely dropping back. The gap between himself and Mansell was 1.97 seconds. It's now 2.7. Piquet is in the pits. There he is, gesticulating furiously. Is this going to be another scintillatingly fast Williams pit stop? And the answer is no, it's not. The right front is stuck. This is a disaster, or a potential one, for Nelson Piquet. And the stop, which should have taken 7 seconds or 8 on today's reckoning, was 10 seconds longer. So Nelson Piquet nearly 18 seconds for his pit stop, and Nigel Mansell has increased his lead. And there in the pits is Alain Prost, who had worked his way up into 5th position. Don't forget, there is a remote possibility that some of the cars may be making 2 pit stops, and this is another bad one. If Williams can turn Nigel Mansell round, there's rubbish in the pod, the left pod, which is interfering with the radiator and the airflow, and Alain Prost, Italian Grand Prix, is not his race.
Prost is away again, but it seems that whatever he does, luck is against him, and the same could not be said for Nigel Mansell, who now is in a very commanding lead in front. He's driven this race immaculately, he's been patient and sensible, and there's Rosberg in.
Yes, and Berger is up into second place. Johansson is up into third place. Rosberg was back into fourth, but as you see, is now in the pits. And it's interesting that all the pit stops so far, with the exception of Alboreto's, have been poor ones in comparison with what we expect these days. Because Rosberg's was some 12 seconds, so that's some 18 seconds for Piquet, 29 seconds for Prost. There is the race leader, Nigel Mansell, and he should be coming in for tyres any lap now, because he's just completing his 24th lap out of 51, and I'm expecting to see the race leader, Nigel Mansell, coming up to take Jonathan Palmer come into the pits this time.
And that's the Ferrari team ready, but Mansell, of course, won't know the dramas that befell his main rivals, Piquet and Prost, but really now, because of their problems, it is a smooth pit stop and mechanical reliability are the only things that Mansell will need to win this race and to extend his lead in the World Championship.
You look at Nigel Mansell, who has yet to make his stop on lap 25 out of 51, leading the Italian Grand Prix by some 10.5 seconds. Gerhard Berger is second. Into the pits now comes Stefan Johansson. He was in third position, and I'm waiting now for Arnoux, who goes past and moves up into third place. Teo Fabi is going well, but Piquet is accelerating through the field. That's a good stop by today's standards for Stefan Johansson, 9.7 seconds. Mansell there is on his way to the bridge and then onto the Ascari turns. Surely any lap now, it's going to be into the pits for the leader.
The pit stop with Nelson Piquet was a good demonstration of the problems that you can have in a pit stop with a change of wheels, because although the mechanics are entirely well drilled, there's no problem like that, the expansion rate between wheels and hubs, they're different metals, remember, do not coincide, and so it's always possible that a wheel just gets jammed onto the studs that locate it and seat it.
There you saw the red and yellow flag. That's the oil flag, which is shown by marshals to indicate that there is oil on the surface wherever they are, and the Ferrari accelerates away, and Mansell is into the pits. Here he is, start the stopwatch, race leader, Nigel Mansell. Now, I wait for Gerhard Berger to see whether he takes the lead, and that's the best stop we've had for Nigel Mansell so far, 8.3 seconds.
And there are the marshals with the black flag on the start-finish line. I can't see the number that they're holding up because they hold the black flag and the number of the car on the board, and whoever that is obliged to come into the pits to be reprimanded for whatever transgression of the rules that he has made. It's number one, it's Alain Prost, so Prost is being black flagged.
Oh, poor Alain Prost, my goodness, he starts the race from the pit lane, then he has a terrible pit stop, now he's being shown the black flag. And normally a black flag is given because the observers can see that, for instance, the car is dropping oil or that there is some debris hanging down from the car. Well, there is Prost out of the race. Alain Prost is retiring on lap 28. The world champion scores no points in Italy. The man who won in San Marino, Monaco and Austria, who has failed to finish twice this year, is now failing to finish in Italy, and that, from the point of view of World Championship leader Nigel Mansell, will be marvellous news. I expect Patrick Head will be telling him on his headset at this very moment that the man who is only 2 points behind him in the World Championship, with 4 races to go, including this one, has now retired.
So Nigel Mansell has some 6 seconds lead over his teammate Nelson Piquet, which now, with the trials and tribulations, Piquet is his only serious rival, but of course remember that Piquet is a rival for the championship. But things really do seem to be falling into Nigel's lap,
as Alain Prost sadly walks in, a not unfamiliar sight in the Italian Grand Prix. Arnoux, that's the reason. The reason that Piquet had moved up into second place, having lost it, is that René Arnoux has come in for a new set of Pirelli tyres, the man who had fought his way up into second place. And so now the gap between Nigel Mansell, there he is, 7 seconds behind him, Nelson Piquet. 4 seconds behind Piquet. In third position is Berger. In fourth position, it's Stefan Johansson, who's only 2 seconds ahead of his teammate Michele Alboreto, who is catching the Swedish driver. In sixth position, it's Keke Rosberg. In seventh place, Teo Fabi. Down to eighth on account of that tyre stop, René Arnoux. Ninth is Alain Jones. 10th is Thierry Boutsen. And by the way, Arnoux, who is eighth, has been lapped, and so, of course, of Jones and Boutsen. Martin Brundle is in 11th place. Jonathan Palmer is 18th. As you know, Johnny Dumfries is out of the race. That's Berger. Third place, Benetton-BMW. Is he going to finish?
Well, although we've got no real wheel-to-wheel racing or dices going on at the moment, the first half a dozen cars and drivers are very well spread, very sensibly spread, and a lot could develop. New fastest lap for Nelson Piquet, and he is closing the gap on Mansell just a tiny bit, but I get the impression that Nigel Mansell has got things well under control. He's looked very much in command today, but Piquet is definitely a little bit closer this lap.
Oh, there's Berger coming towards us, down to the Parabolica, as the Williams exits, and Mansell completes another lap. What did I say? It was about 6 seconds, and Piquet's catching him. It's down to just over 5 seconds now. Piquet in second place has taken nearly a second out of Mansell's lead, and in the process eased away by 9 seconds to the third place man, Gerhard Berger, 9 seconds behind Piquet. And Johansson is catching Berger. Johansson in fourth place is catching Berger. And Alboreto is touring. But you'll see it soon. He's going past us at walking pace and pulling off. Michele Alboreto is out of his home Italian Grand Prix. Just about the point. There he is. Alboreto sadly retiring. He had to fight for fitness to start here today. He's getting a sympathetic round of applause. Now the gap between Mansell and Piquet as they go into their 35th lap is considerably reduced. There's Mansell, here's Piquet.
Yes, Piquet is very definitely making his move now. This is the charge from Nelson Piquet. He's closing on Mansell. What has Mansell got in hand in order to respond? Piquet is setting fastest lap after fastest lap. There's yet another one for Piquet. The last 3 laps he's done have each been quicker, and he's getting very clearly in touch with Nigel Mansell.
And that is Ivan Capelli in the AGS, and Piquet is definitely catching Nigel Mansell as Capelli slides off the circuit to join the other retirees, and there's quite a few of them. And there's no need for a stopwatch now. You can see the gap, and this is the end of lap 36, or will be when they cross the line. There'll be another 14 laps to go then. Mansell leads across the line. Piquet second. Berger is now 15 seconds behind these two, with Johansson in fourth place. Rosberg fifth. Boutsen, Thierry Boutsen, a lap behind, has moved up into sixth place. Martin Brundle is seventh. Alain Jones is in eighth position. And this is the scrap for the lead. The two Williams Hondas. Mansell leads, Piquet second.
And battle is joined behind because Stefan Johansson was attacking Gerhard Berger into the first chicane after the start-finish line. They go out of our sight, so we couldn't see whether he got past him, but he was certainly having a go. And Nelson Piquet has been absolutely flying over the last 5 or 6 laps. He's pulled in a 7-second deficit to Nigel Mansell. be interesting to see if he continues to press, if he tries to go past Mansell and tries to march away from him, or whether he's happy to sit there for the time being and conserve fuel again.
And now Alan Jones is flying. I know a lot of people watch us in Australia, and Alan Jones is only 1 place off the World Championship points position because he is up into 7th place behind Thierry Boutsen and on the same lap. And these two, the leaders, Mansell and Piquet, are a lap ahead of Alan Jones in 7th position as they go through to complete lap 37. Down to the Rettifilio.
And Mansell moved over to the inside to protect the line into the corner to defend himself against Piquet, but I would have thought it's a little bit early for those sort of tactics as Piquet punches by, gives him a little push then, a little bit naughty. And so Nelson Piquet takes the lead.
On lap 38, Nelson Piquet jinks out from behind Nigel Mansell, gets up alongside him going into the corner. Mansell has to give way, and if Piquet wins, and there's still some way to go, Mansell will still be 5 points ahead of the Brazilian in the World Championship, but Piquet would move up to 2nd place by virtue of the fact that Prost and Senna, the other contenders when this race began, are out of it and have been for some time. And this is the battle for 3rd position. We've now got 2 battles. Piquet in the lead versus Mansell, and here's Berger trying to fend off Stefan Johansson for 4th. This is lap 40. It's a 51-lap race. Nelson Piquet leads. There is the Ligier pulling out of the race, and Mansell in 2nd place, just about a second behind Piquet. Berger is 13 seconds behind Nelson Piquet, the race leader. Stefan Johansson is in 4th place. There he is. Keke Rosberg is 5th. Boutsen is still 6th, 1 lap adrift. Alan Jones is still 1 place off that World Championship point. And the gap between 1st Piquet and 4th Johansson is only 16 seconds as you look at Nigel Mansell. And Johansson now is really forcing things. He's right up on the tail of Gerhard Berger's Benetton-BMW, going for 3rd position. And the highest place that Stefan Johansson has had so far in a Grand Prix this year is 3rd place in Belgium and Austria. The leaders across the line. There's Johansson, and he's ahead of Berger. Stefan Johansson has taken that 3rd place from Gerhard Berger as they go into lap 45. And Berger's in real trouble because his BMW engine is sounding as flat as a pancake. Well, it looks to me as though Nigel Mansell has decided to settle for 2nd place. Whether he's decided that totally independently or whether he's had a sage word of advice from Patrick Head over the pits to car radio, I obviously know not. And there is the Benetton out of the race of Teo Fabi, who's gone into the gravel chippings off the circuit. And Keke Rosberg has now passed Gerhard Berger up into 4th place. So the BMW engine is sagging as Piquet goes down into the Parabolica, soon to start his 51st and last lap in the Italian Grand Prix. So watch not the bouncing ball, but the blue dot of Nelson Piquet. It'll start to move as he crosses the line now. And it does so. There is Mansell, the green dot behind him. And Stefan Johansson in 3rd position, with Keke Rosberg now in 4th place. Berger in 5th position, and he must finish there provided he can keep his car going until Nelson Piquet crosses the line, because Berger is a long way ahead of Alan Jones in terms of race distance.
And a marvellous demonstration of power, reliability and dominance by the Williams team here, coming in for a 1-2. But it was a great shame that the race was really ruined pretty much as it started when Prost's car failed to start on the line. He had to start from the pits in last place, came charging through the field only to be thwarted with a problem pit stop, and then the car breaking down shortly after that. And of course Ayrton Senna went out as the flag dropped, he seemed to have some sort of transmission problem, possibly a broken drive shaft. Car never got going, possibly a clutch, and he was sidelined as well. So that of the 4 World Championship contenders, 2 were pretty much out of it as the race started, and it left for the 2 Williams drivers to do battle. But Nelson Piquet has driven a marvellous tactical race. He played a waiting game and then powered past Mansell when he was ready.
And there is the checkered flag as Berger rolls across the line with a dead engine, but he's going to be okay because Nelson Piquet wins the Italian Grand Prix to get 9 points in the World Championship as his teammate Nigel Mansell accelerates across the line to finish 9.7 seconds behind and increase his World Championship lead from the 2 points he had over Alain Prost now to the 5 points he has over Nelson Piquet. Stefan Johansson finishes in 3rd position. Keke Rosberg will be 4th provided he finishes this lap. Gerhard Berger has already finished in 5th position. Alan Jones will be in 6th place, and the Constructors' Championship must surely have been won by Williams, thanks to a superb victory here in Italy by Nelson Piquet, followed home in 2nd place by Nigel Mansell.
So a magnificent 4th Grand Prix win of the year for Nelson Piquet, beating Nigel Mansell into 2nd place, and a very fine 3rd place for Stefan Johansson, with Gerhard Berger in 5th place behind Keke Rosberg, and in 6th position, 1 point, Alan Jones. And that means to say that Nigel Mansell has in fact increased his World Championship lead, but now over Nelson Piquet, who is in 2nd place. Alain Prost down from 2nd to 3rd, and Ayrton Senna in 4th place. And those 4 really are all for the championship. Well, in the Constructors' Championship, Williams are almost out of sight and seem to have it well and truly tied up. And after the race, I spoke to both the 1st and 2nd drivers. Nigel, 2nd, and you just failed to win the Grand Prix, but something obviously happened. What was it?
Well, just after we stopped for tyres, something happened with one of my seat belts. It came undone, and I was moving a little in the car, but I think then I pushed too hard, and because I wasn't completely at one with the car, I blistered the front tyres. Nelson drove a great race, and he deserved to win.
Well, you've increased your World Championship lead to 5 points, but now ahead of Nelson Piquet. No team orders for the next 3 races.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting, but you know, we didn't finish, or the last race we didn't finish when we were in a good position. We finished now. We've had a little bit of luck with the belts, because if they all would have come undone, I would have had to come into the pits and stop and have them done up. So we had a little bit of luck, so I'm happy with 6 points.
Now, when I spoke to you yesterday and said, how about a 3rd World Championship, you said, no problem, easy. Do you still feel that way?
Of course, I have to. You know, if I don't believe in myself, I don't believe in my work, better to stop racing.
Now, there's 75 points still to be distributed from the 3 races. You're going for victory all the time. There's no team orders.
Well, I hope not. You know, if it's ordered for him to stop, not me. It's another put fire in that factory.
So the World Championship now dominated by Nigel Mansell in the lead and Nelson Piquet in 2nd place. And seemingly one of them is going to be world champion. Now on to round 14 in Portugal in 2 weeks' time. That too is going to be worth seeing. Join us for that.